Hello, this week we're going to go through some lenses I use, and rather than me break this down and be very detailed, because I'm not a detailed person when it comes to the tech specs and everything like that, I'm just going to go through each lens and we'll talk about what I do with them and how I use them and some shots that I've taken with them and scenarios I would use them in. Okay, so first lens we're going to go with is this one. This is the Viltrox 50mm prime 1.8, and I picked this up secondhand from Harrison Cameras in Sheffield, and it was about £180, and I really enjoy using it. It's very light, it's very versatile, it's very clean and crisp for such a small lens. I really do enjoy using it. It's got a very small front filter of 55mm, so if you are using bigger filters, like most of the lenses I do use are bigger, you will need step-up rings, but you can pick them up pretty cheap. This is good for studio, it's good for video actually, it's very clear on video, and it's a great lens to use. I really enjoy it. Sometimes I will just take this out with me on my camera and challenge myself to get some good shots with it, and 9 times out of 10 you do. So that's the Viltrox lens. There is another Viltrox lens, which is this one. This is the 16mm 1.8. This was one of the only lenses I've ever pre-ordered because I'd seen a lot about it and I was after a wide angle lens, but I didn't want to spend thousands on a G Master or anything like that. And I'd seen some really good reviews, so I pre-ordered it, and I think it was about $529, and I'm really happy with it. Very wide, obviously, being 16mm. There's some really cool features with it. So there is a little LCD screen on the front, and what that does is it will tell you different information about what f-stop you're at, the distance of the subject you are focusing on. If you're manually focusing, it will go up and down. Obviously, it will tell you what your distance is to focus, which is pretty good. There is a manual to autofocus switch on the side, and it is a clickable aperture ring, but you can also change it to declick it if you want it a bit smoother. And there's 2 function buttons on the sides, which are pretty cool. These are kind of what you would do with these, is more for video really, but if you manually focus on something and you hold the first button down, then move to your second position or your second focal point and hold the next one down, you can switch between the 2 and it kind of rack focuses. So if you're set up on a tripod, you can literally just press one of these buttons and the focus distance will change to the one you've mapped it for. For a wide angle lens, the front element doesn't stick out. It's not protruding at all really. So you can use your normal focus, your normal filters with it. Sometimes you get a situation where it's very much, over the front, and if you're needing to use a filter like an ND, you need to use a sensor one, so it's got to go into your camera, and then it's harder to swap out and change around. Whereas this one, it doesn't stick out at all. So very nice to use. This was from Park Cameras online because they had it pretty much from day one. When you pre-ordered it, you kind of got it pretty much really close to launch day. So yeah, I just don't use that enough, but it's a great lens. I just don't use it that much because it's so wide. I just don't find myself in that situation to need a very wide lens, but I would recommend it because it has had its uses. I've used it in here a couple of times, so I'll put a few shots up of when I've used it in here, and I've used it in like a landscape sort of situation as well, and taking it out and used it in landscape. So it's a pretty good lens. The next one is this one. So this is the Prime 85mm 1.8 Sony, not the G Master one, not the G one either. This is the 1.8. So I didn't need to go down to 1.2 or 1.4. This was fast enough for me, or 1.8. Couple of features on the side. So a mappable button if you want to set that to something. I think I have this set to like eye track or something like that, I think, on my camera. Can't quite remember. And then an autofocus to manual focus switch on the side as well, and obviously a manual focus ring. Very small sort of front element. It's like 67mm, so majority of my filters are 67mm, so fits quite nicely. And it's probably my favorite lens to use, but I don't use it as much as I should do or want to. Really, I do use it for headshots in here, and they are very clean and crisp, and I've used it for video a bit, but the headshots with these I absolutely love. Just the perfect amount of compression. 85mm is always great for headshots anyway, in my opinion, but this is a very underrated lens for the price of it. This and the Viltrox and another one I'm going to go for after are the only ones that I've ever bought that are brand new, and this was about $499, again from Harrison Cameras in Sheffield. So very nice lens to use, and yeah, don't use it enough, need to use it more. And the last one is this one. So this is the 70-300 Tamron, and for a lens with such a long range, it's not that big. It fits in the bag quite nicely. Obviously, when you extend it, it's pretty big, and if you put the lens cap, the hood on, it's fairly long, but it's very light. It is a little bit bottom heavy, obviously, because all the main stuff is at the bottom of it. No dials, no switches, no buttons, nothing fancy, just literally a manual focus ring and then a manual focal length as well. Is that what you call that? I don't know. Like I told you, I'm not technical. So I picked this up because the first tram lens I shot, I borrowed a friend's 1-400 or 100-400 G Master, and it was absolutely incredible. I absolutely love using it because it was the first time I'd ever shot a festival. And being in the pit, you know, you need to have a good amount of distance, or you need to have a good range to be able to get some really good shots. And the second time I was going to do tram lines, I decided to buy this instead because I was kind of after one, but I didn't want to spend $1,400-1,500, however much they are, on a G Master one. So I picked this up for £529 from Harrison Cameras in Sheffield, and I love it. So it starts, it's an f4.5 to 6.3. As you go through your focal distance, as you get closer to 300, that will change to 6.3, and you know, you won't be able to lower your f-stop any more than that. But this paired with the Sony a7 III that I use, it doesn't make, and I don't really know, you can bring your ISO up quite a lot and it doesn't affect your image quality, in my view anyway. I quite like it. I've used this for festivals quite a lot since and got really good results, I find, and really enjoyed shooting with it and using it, and really good for landscape stuff as well, taking it out and about. Obviously shooting at 300mm, great compression for anything that's far away. And I've not used it in here before, but I might, maybe, no, I'm not going to do a headshot with someone at 300mm, but I might, you know, see what it's like at 135 or 150 and do something if we're doing some quite close-up details and stuff, especially paired with the flashes in here. I think it could be quite good. So yeah, Tamron make very good lenses. If you are on a budget or you're just starting, Tamron are great to go down that path with. And so is Viltrox. You know, Viltrox makes very good lenses. They're not too expensive, especially if you pick up good used ones. If you know, you go to places and you get good used lenses, it's always a good way to start. You don't have to start spending thousands on the brand new gear to get into photography. You can, you know, pick things up as you go and swap and borrow and trade in and all that kind of thing. I would highly recommend it because that's kind of what I did with most of my lenses, and they've done me well so far. There's a few ones that I've sold and got rid of, but that would just be to bring in another lens that I really wanted, or I was going to use a bit more, or it was an older, you know, 50mm lens that wasn't working as great anymore, so I would change it and swap it out and bring another one in. So yeah, I really like that. So this is the Tamron 28-75, and this was the first telephoto sort of lens I ever picked up. and it was my work lens for a very long time, and took some very good shots in the bars, of landscapes, at festivals, of people in here even. Yeah, I absolutely love this lens, and the only reason I traded it in was because there was a really good deal that came up with this Sony, where it had gone on at a used price of like $999 instead of whatever they are brand new. So rather than get rid of this, I decided to keep it and use it as a backup camera, backup lens even, and just sort of keep it in the bag just in case I'm out and about. Or if you get another camera body, you can throw this on there and do multiple angles if we're filming something like an interview thing or something like that. But yeah, this was secondhand, obviously. And I can't remember what I paid for it, because I traded in an old lens that kind of came with this camera and then put some away for it. And then I think it was probably like £400, I think, secondhand, which is not bad at all for a very, very good quality lens. No, amazing features on it, like the 70-300, just the manual focus ring, and then your focal ring at the top, which is a bit bigger, to extend up to 75mm, 28mm, 75mm. I probably wanted to trade this in, because even though that is 24/28, that does make a bit of a difference, and overall the image of the Sony was just a bit sharper. But for what I was using this for and what I was doing, this lens was perfect. So yeah, the Tamron 28-75. If you're looking to get a lens and you're just starting out in photography, I would recommend this lens. Very easy to use, very good results, and yeah, glad I've still got it, because I wouldn't want to get rid of it. I really do like it. This is the Sony 24-70 G Master. This is now replaced the Tamron as like the work lens, and it's pretty much on my camera 90% of the time. So I would travel with it on there. It's the first one I will think of when it comes to using a shoot. I use it in the studio a lot for portraits, use it on location, excellent in low light, very fast, very responsive, focus is great, very sharp, and yeah, I absolutely love using it. Couple of buttons on it, nothing too major. Autofocus to manual focus switch, and then a button you can use for like eye detection and things like that. It does have a little lock on the bottom, so if you're traveling with it, you can lock it and it will stay at 24mm. Quite handy to use on a gimbal as well, if you're having it on a gimbal and you don't want the focal length to like slip or anything like that. Not that it would do. It's a very heavy lens, so this paired with the camera as well as the battery grip that's on there, it is quite weighty to carry around and use, but incredible results with it. It replaced the Tamron as the workhorse of my setup, and I absolutely love it. And it was a second-hand one. It was used from Harrison's again, and I think I still paid about $999 for it, so it was quite expensive. But I think I was at a point where I just wanted to take things up a little bit and work a bit more with bigger images and more detail and take things up to the next level. So that's why I went and picked that up and absolutely love it. So yeah, great lens to have. Very fortunate that I managed to get a good deal on it, and yeah, use it quite a lot. So yeah, if you are in the market for one, this is the first generation one, and there's nothing wrong with secondhand gear. This is brilliant and I absolutely love it. So yeah, that's the Sony 24. So that's it. That's the lenses with some examples of the photos that you can get with them. And I'm not a massively technical person. I will obviously always caveat these videos with, if you're tuning in for a technical rundown of what everything does, that's not me. They just work for me and I can tell you how I use them and the images that I get from them and how much I paid for them and where I bought them from. That's kind of the most detail you will get from me when it comes to these lenses. But yeah, it's a nice collection. I don't really ever feel like I need more or another one. You know, I have lenses that are for every situation pretty much now. So in the studio, on location, landscape, all that kind of thing, something a bit more stylistic with the 16mm. So I do have a good set of coverage now when it comes to the kind of work I like to do and the way I shoot. So yeah, but as usual, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for checking out all the videos and the feedback as well. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, we'll see you in the next one, and that's it.